Hey guys, Kevin here with Mix Coach. So I'm working on a project right now where we're building a song basically. We've gotten a piano part in that the artist has done. We've gotten vocals done, and now I want to send my files out for some magic from a friend of mine named Chris Crunk, who is an expert programmer, string programmer. He is just amazing. Anyway, I hope you don't mind me dropping his name here, but I'm getting files ready to send to him. And so what I thought I would do today is show you how I do collaborations in the easiest way I found to do it, and make yourself look good and make their job easier in the long run. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I like to do is a save as. I know your folder can get kind of bloated with versions of a track or whatever, but I like to do a save as just in case I mess up something royally. I can always go back to that file. So first of all, what we're going to do is I'm going to do a save as, and I'm just going to do the extension demo. That way I'll know that this was for you guys. So it's in the same folder. Now it's called demo. Whatever I do to this one, I can delete all the files. I can do whatever I want to, and I can always go back to the older file and get what I need. So the first thing we're going to do now is going to clean up the session. I'm going to organize the session, clean it up a little bit. I have a click track, and I also printed 2 click tracks so that I would have a little bit more control. I'm going to pull those up to the top. I'm going to delete the quarter note click track. It's not something I normally do. I'm just going to hide it, make it inactive, and I'll show you why in just a second. Now I've got a rough mix here of the lullaby. I'm going to leave it just like that is. So the next thing I want to do is I want to modify this click track slightly. Now this is an unusual track because it has a moving tempo. Most every song that I ever do is done with one tempo, so you can actually glue that tempo in and you're good. This one has, as you can see at the top, several retards that I had to document. Chris happens to be working in Pro Tools, but for today's example I wanted to show you if you're sending files out and you didn't know if they were using Pro Tools, they would still be in good shape and you would still be looked at as El Jefe. Okay, speaking of cleaning up, at the last downbeat here I'm going to delete everything, the click after the downbeat. That way, if it's recording an acoustic guitar overdub or something like that, we're not getting the click in the end because the engineer maybe forgot to mute it. So I'm taking that out. And another thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to name the track. I think the tempo was 84 beats per minute. So I'm going to do 84 BPM. Now, the reason I do that is because I want them to be able to look at it and go, oh, this is how they can set their delays, if they're importing it into their own DAW, they can set the tempo and it'll match up to beat bars and beats. Now, again, this is a little bit of an exception because it has varying tempos in it, but we're going to name it that. And also, I'm going to say key B flat to B because that's the key of the track. And this will also help, like, he can look at the click track. It's written right there. It's not named yet, but I named the track for the next step. It's going to actually pick up this name when we consolidate, which is the next step to do. Okay, so the very next thing I want to do is let's get rid of the tracks that we're not going to use. I'm not going to use bass right now. We'll probably do that later. I'm going to leave the vocal verb in there just in case he has these plugins, and if not, he can just replace it. So it looks like everything we have there is good to go. So I'm going to select this track and I'm going to pull it all the way back to the very beginning. This is what we call consolidating back to zero, or so that if they import it in their DAW, all they have to do is move it to the farthest left they can, set the tempo, and it should be good to go. So now what I'm going to do is consolidate. Some people call it flatten. It just depends on which DAW you're using, but my shortcut for that is Shift Option 3, and as you can see, it consolidated everything back, and it also picked up the names that are on the track. So click 84 beats per minute, key B flat to B. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tracks that are pretty clean. So the very next thing I'm going to do, and this is the best way I found to do this, is since all of these tracks are going to be exported, there are other tracks in here that aren't relevant to the session right now because they don't have anything on them, like drums, bass. the other click track. We don't want to send those because it'll be confusing. So what we're going to do is highlight all the tracks that we want to send, go to File, and then hit Export, select Tracks as New Session. Okay, so I've already confirmed that this is a 44.1 session at 24 bits, and we want to make sure that we send it out the same way, because if we send it out at a different bit rate, they may record it at that bit rate and send it back at the wrong bit rate. Then you have to, not that it's a huge deal, but every little detail that you can include is an improvement. Okay, so what we're going to do is 44.1, 24-bit at the latest session. That means we're going to save it as the current Pro Tools session that we're using, not an earlier one. We're going to select audio files, and we're going to hit main playlist only, because this vocal that we recorded has about 8 passes that we've composited into one. We've comped one vocal, and there's a bunch of tracks under there. We don't want those. We just want him to see the flattened vocal, and he's good to go. So at that point, we just hit OK. It'll ask us where we want to do this. Now, here's another little tip that I found. I have a Dropbox folder called Collaborators. I'm going to create a folder in there, and I'm going to call it Kevin Ward. I put my name first so that if you don't have a collaborations folder, everything will be together. Kevin Ward dash, and then the next person in alphabetical order. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to say Chris Crunk and hit create. Later I'll share this with him, but I'm going to save this one to that. But first I'm going to say copy of David Jordan, lullaby, and I'm not going to put demo because I'm actually going to share this with him. And I'm in the name, I'm going to put 44.1, 24-bit. You can never have too many details in there, because if somebody's using a different DAW, you want them to be able to set up their DAW to be as close to yours as possible. So hit save. When I do that, it's going to copy all of these files as they are and nothing else. One thing I want to show you first is look at all of those extra files in there that you don't need. You see the ones that are highlighted blue are the ones that we actually sent to him. So I'm going to close this session, and when I come back, I'm going to show you the session that we sent Chris to overdub. Okay, so I'm going to open this session that I just sent Chris. This is in the collaborations folder under Chris Crunk, and I'm just going to hit string overdubs. It's going to be able to pull all of those files up, and if you look here now, the only files that it sent him are the ones that are relevant to the session. This is going to make it super easy for him, and what it will also do is if they don't have Pro Tools, all they have to do is open the audio files, and everything is there, documented and ready to just pull in. There's the key of the song, the tempo, everything. So this is how I send off all of my files. Until I find a better way, this is how I send to my collaborators, so that they won't have to second guess whether they need to do something, because they'll have to organize everything. Really easy, and the best engineers that I know do this exact same thing. So hopefully this was helpful. If you found this helpful, give me a thumbs up, like, subscribe to the channel. There's a little free workshop that I have called mixcoach.com/workshop, and I'll share some of my best mixing tips with you if you care to do so. Okay, so thanks for watching, and I will see you next week. Okay, bye.